My name is Dean Jagger. I play the character of Dylan Leary, and this is for Critical Hit. Thank you.
One thing we can at least say is you have been to Cape Town, haven't you? Obviously.
Absolutely have. What a beautiful place it is as well. Yeah.
I believe you guys finished filming there, was it last year, May approximately, not exactly.
That's
sure.
right. Yeah, it was June. I actually finished it in June, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a fantastic time. I think we were shooting for 4.5 months out there, each season. Yeah.
Okay.
That's quite nice.
That's good.
It's a good place. Yeah. It's a very pretty place, actually.
It absolutely is, actually. I went out to, I visited this time. I managed on season 2. I didn't do it in season 1, but I managed to get out to a few vineyards,
Okay.
Don't ask me where they were. I just know that they were beautiful and whatnot. It's not really like my thing, but yeah, I managed to get a bit of time off this season and go do that and take that in. But yeah, I'll tell you what, beautiful place. I hope to go back.
That's good. Well, we're hoping that you're going to go back too. I mean, I'm really hoping that the show's going to get picked up, and for season 3, of course, we really are praying for that.
Absolutely, fingers and toes crossed.
I mean, I just finished watching the season on Sunday. I think, Curve, you also finished it on Sunday. Have you actually seen the entire season? I'm assuming you have.
Yeah.
And well,
I think that I think that it was everything that we all hoped for. It was twice a season. What season 1 is.
Definitely.
Absolutely. I think that the difference between season 1 and season 2. I feel for me that we kind of get straight into the nuts and bolts of everyone's reason why. And wants. We're not really introducing characters that much anymore. We're just kind of getting straight into the drama of things. And I just think that it's a fast ride, man.
We were chatting with Joe yesterday, and he said the same thing about jumping into characters. And one of the reasons that it was actually my first question too, is that the great thing I loved about season 2, and one of the reasons why I think it's far superior to season 1, is because you actually do a character dive into a lot of people, and your character Dylan is arguably probably the most developed character or developing character, I'd say, in the second season.
Wow! Can you imagine? Absolutely. I mean, can you imagine how I felt after reading episode 1, right? I was just like, what? Just the very first scene that we find Dylan in. And, I'm so glad, I'm thanking my lucky stars for that, because he was such a force, in season 1. And, you didn't really peel back those layers that much, right?
Yeah.
Other than the fact that, it was campaigning heavily, for the Irish against the Chinese, due to lack of work and whatnot. But, when it started taking that to its conclusion, it really started coming across, it was the villain, and I feel that in season 2, we kind of find the reason why. I think that's what we did straight out of the gate, finding that, he had a wife, he had 2 children, he came from Ireland, he saw his family die due to starvation. So I kind of for me, it really explained why it gravitates so much and protects the Irish community, because ultimately that's all he's got left,
I mean, you're quite right. I can imagine the sort of, not burden, but the great honor, obviously, of being given a far deeper character to sort of delve into. One of the things that I found, which was very interesting, as you say, he's a bad guy, but what's that saying that every bad guy believes he's doing the right thing?
Every villain believes he's the hero in his own story.
Absolutely. Yeah. And with Dylan, you've got his sort of motivations rooted in protecting his own, much like the Tongs do. Whereas the Tongs, you don't look at them as villains, you look at them as doing what they want. So for you, was it difficult to balance a character who's overtly sort of prejudiced and uses terror tactics, but at the same time is now growing to the point where you actually start feeling sympathy for him? Was it difficult to get that sort of mixture right?
I mean, it was great writing.
Yep,
the writing
absolutely.
The writing was phenomenal. I think that it's a good question. Because we've got to put ourselves in this question. Us 3 right now as men. If someone boxes you in, they put you in that corner.
You fight it. You lash out.
You're a hungry man. You've got a starving family. What won't you do? And exactly. I know the answer. I know the answer from both of you already. If you were put in that extreme situation, that's what it actually is. People can't eat. People are dying. What are you going to do in a system that's corrupt, in a system that's not fair? I think I know the answer to that question. And I feel that that's what is, I think that it does actually, is challenged actually with the identity of himself in season 2. And Sophie actually helps him, you know, in more reasons than one. Kind of trust in himself that, you know, he could do it a different way. You know, is this the right way? You know, is this the right way? And it's interesting because, you know, through the course of, you know, in asking that question himself, could I do it a different way? You know, can I go and try go up against this kind of corrupt political system, you know, that, you know, is well out of his depth, you know? Can he actually like do that? And I feel that through the course of this story, it feels, I feel that, like, you know, there's only so much dynamite, there's only so much punching, there's only so much anarchy that you know, that can happen before there, you know, you got to like ask yourself a question, you know, are you bringing about change? And ultimately it's not. It's raising escalation.
Yes.
And we start seeing and feeling, you know, the cracks of that within the Irish community.
Yeah.
So I think that through the story, I feel that, like, you know, he's, you know, he's not really a good guy, but he's got like he's got a reason why.
Yeah.
You know.
I totally agree with you. Just before you jump in here, Kurt, just to finish that off, I think one of the things that I found quite fascinating with how you did that was the way that he was portrayed is not being a racist, if you want to call it that. He had a reason to not like these people because they were taking, you know, potential work away kind of story. It was, so that must be quite tricky.
No, absolutely though, but that's it. I mean, it's kind of between a rock and a hard place, I feel, you know, and, you know, it's kind of is a hard character to understand as well. He doesn't give anything away. He's the type of guy that, you know, even though he's a natural born leader, he doesn't say very much. He doesn't say any more than what he has to, you know? Yeah, absolutely. And I think that he just has to be all he can be for the Irish, and that's it. That's his goal. That's his mission, you know. And he's, you know, he's suffered greatly for that, you know. You know, everybody has, you know, everybody in the show has, you know, everybody's got their own personal, you know, challenge, and it's huge. It's huge.
Good writing.
You mentioned earlier about Sophie getting Dennis to basically, you know, choose a different way, and we see season 2 ending with him basically taking this more legitimate role as a role of power, basically, you know, trying to change the institution from the inside out. If Warrior gets picked up for season 3, where do you think this path will take him?
Wow, I mean, man, that's like a really like open book question. I mean, do I think that? Who knows? I mean, you remember what Walter Buckley said, you know, when like Dylan, you know, he had this almost like very brief exchange where Walter Buckley suggested that, you know, he could, you know, swing the Irish vote. You know, all the Irish are behind him, so why not? And like Dylan's like, you know, I'm no politician, and then Walter Buckley's like, that's what all the, you know, the best ones say. So I don't know. I think that, you know, Dylan, he has got a voice and he's a natural born leader, but who knows? You know, if we get back to season 3, who knows whether he's going to like completely, you know, embody all that, or whether it won't work. I just don't know.
Okay. Well, changing tactics a bit here. Warrior is essentially like a martial arts drama series. A lot of, you know, kung fu badasses on display. Louis is not a kung fu practitioner, not at all. He's very much still a devastating fighter, though. So is it difficult to choreograph action scenes like that? You know, he's a straightforward brawler and he's fighting guys who are flipping around and doing spinning kicks, but they still make him look effective, like he can still kick ass. Is it difficult choreographing that?
You know, actually, it was, you know, because we had to kind of like find Leary's style. And I remember Brett Chaney had the idea that, you know, Leary's not really finessical, you know, he's not like that much stylish, you know. But one thing he's got a shot, you know. And if he happens to catch you, it's kind of game over. So we kind of devised this kind of like train, you know, he's like this train coming at you, and he's always got his guard up, and no matter what, he's going to come at you no matter what. You saw that at the end of season 1 when he's fighting as Sam. You know, he's taking as many shots as what he's giving, but he's coming straight at you. And fortunately for Leary, he's the type of guy that is the type of man and fighter as well. And this is a real thing. And it can become quite dangerous for fighters when they start enjoying the pain. Yep. And Leary, he kind of enjoys the pain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that kind of makes him dangerous. You know, he's not stylish. He's not really like, you know, like look at Lee Young. You know, wow. I mean, that guy is just deadly. He's a wick. You know, but one thing is for sure that, you know, Leary will just keep coming.
That's actually a good point. It's a very strong reflection of the character. If you look at earlier in the season when he had a son fighting Michael Bisping's character, we had a very similar sort of brawling style, but it was one kick and he was down. He fights Leary. It's one kick and Leary keeps getting back up, and that's a good. That's the fighting showing the drama of the character coming through.
Yeah, well, it's it's the will and desire. It's the reason why he's there. These guys are from like two different worlds, and they're both, from their standpoints, are complete just, and they've got a score to settle for sure.
So when you were preparing for the fights and things, did you sit down with your choreographer? I forget his name.
Richard Chang.
Yeah, that's right. Did you sit down and sort of psychologically think how the character would be thinking? Forget about the punches flying, because it is, as you say, it was very well done because the fighting sort of reflects the inner turmoil kind of story.
Absolutely.
So did you think it out?
Oh, absolutely. You, without a shadow of a doubt, every time we have to do that. It tells a story in itself. It's like when, like me and Brett, we talked at length about that. And, if you see at the end fight, between, Dylan and Assam, there's so much nuance in that and so many character beats, there's a story in itself along with the fight, So it's very, very important, I feel. And, it kind of helps, actually. It really helps. It just feels like that you're telling much more of a story than just like swinging fists, It changes things. It does change things. It changes the way you do things. Absolutely. It's a good question. It does change the way you do things by adding that kind of like that nuance, that like, why is this actually happening? Whereabouts am I at right now with things? It does actually help. It does matter. So it all really matters.
Yeah. I mean, and as you mentioned, Joe, his character is, well, even he himself has been a judo, artist for years, decades even. And he was saying that it was good for him because he has got muscle memory. The muscles talk to each other and they know what they're doing. You're not exactly a stranger to fights. You would, Game of Thrones, and did quite a big, throwdowns there. How did you find it as far as the physical side of things? Because the show does look very physical. Was it?
Yeah.
Difficult?
Well, it absolutely was. I mean, we just like season one, we went into like training camp before for months. When I knew what to expect this time, trust me, guys, I I did myself a solid, because last time, Christmas came around and whatnot, we all love that. We all love that turkey and stuff and whatnot, that cranberry sauce. And I just vouched to myself, to Brett, I will never do that again. So I came in somewhat a little bit more prepared this season, but it absolutely does take a toll on the body. The training was, it's transformational. It's transformational, actually. Brett has got a fantastic team, and you're training every day. You are training every day. I think my prep training before I even got to Cape Town was, it was like 6 to 8 weeks before.
Wow.
Okay. And that was down to like getting the food right, my sleep right, and then obviously getting there. Then it just goes from there to there.
Yes,
when you think that when you think that you're working out, just go see Brett Chan, and then you'll know.
That's a proper workout.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just on that sort of Game of Thrones thing, it's interesting. I think I kind of know the answer to this question already, but with Dylan at the beginning of season 2, end of season 1, you could kind of imagine him going down in a blaze of glory, much like Jon Umber in Game of Thrones, like your character. Where do you think he would be going right now if he was given the chance? Do you think he would find peace and ride off into the sunset, or is he still going to run in there?
Are we talking about how we finish season 2? You mean
going
after
forward?
That?
Let's say season 3.
Going forward?
Yeah.
If you're asking me, is Dylan gonna hang his gloves up? Absolutely not. I don't feel like that he will. It's just a part of who he is, and he's just a fighter, like, balls to bone through and through. That's just who he is. He's that type of guy. So it will never ever, stop that. But it keeps him alive. It makes him feel alive. Right. I've been around some of these, my father, for one, I'm not going to get too far into that, but like, he's got a bit of a story in himself, and I grew up around a lot of these type of, characters,
fighters.
right?
Proper fighters. go down swinging.
Fighters, yeah. I'm from a family of fighters and miners, coal miners, yeah. So, you know, these guys, they've just got it in the blood. But who knows, you know, who knows? I like to feel like after everything that is experienced through the course of season 2, and going back to what I said earlier, that, you know, there's been serious, you know, escalation, and it's not been good. It's not really like gone in his favor, you know, his actions. And I feel that that he's left with the idea that, you know, he's got to try, brave it, and maybe go this different route for the sake of the people, you know.
Excellent. I think we only got like 2 minutes left, so I'll wrap up with our final question.
The most difficult question. We apologize.
The most difficult question, yeah.
I can tell you setting this up, it's going to be funny. Go on.
Now, we've asked everybody this question thus far. We've spoken to Joe, and spoken to Olivia, and also to Andrew. When you went Cape Town shooting, did you by any chance have an opportunity to eat a Gatsby? And looking at your face, I can see that you don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't know what's a Gatsby. What is it? It sounds pretty phenomenal,
it's a traditional Cape Town fast food thing. You only find it in Cape Town. It's essentially a giant piece of bread, French roll, basically stuffed with all sorts of meats and chips and salad and stuff. And it's crazy unhealthy, but it's delicious. It's like
that sounds like my type of pie, man. And I'm so crushed now. I'm so crushed now that I didn't do it. Season 3, baby.
Yeah, that's what I said. And Olivia was the only one who knew about it. And apparently everyone had said she'd heard people talking about it, and she wanted to get one, and no one ever got one. And Andrew said he'd get it if he comes back in season 2, because I interviewed him for season 1, and he said he'll come back in season 2, and he never did. So everyone thus far was really upset that he never did.
I will remind him, I promise you. I think I'm seeing him later this week, so we'll come back and maybe I'll do one together or something.
Yes.
Please do.
Yeah, please do.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much, guys. You guys are fun, man. Thanks so much. Cheers, boys.
Awesome. Thanks for the interview.
Season 3.
Yeah.
Cheers, lads. Thank you.